I started in Bedford-Stuyvesant, and it was not a bad neighborhood at that time.
Before he became the most feared man in boxing, before the knockouts and the championships, Mike Tyson was just a kid from Brownsville, Brooklyn. And Brownsville was not a place for the weak. Poverty, crime, and violence weren't just things Tyson saw. They were things he lived. By his teenage years, Tyson had been arrested more times than he could count. And just when it felt like he would spend the rest of his life in a prison cell, something happened. He found an opportunity that changed his life forever. So what really made the monster? Let's find out. Be sure to watch this video to the end and don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Mike Tyson didn't have the easiest childhood. He was born on June 30th, 1966 in Brooklyn, New York. But from the start, life was pretty rough for him. His mom, Lorna May, worked as a prison matron and was studying to be a teacher, but things took a turn when she lost her job. Tyson never really knew his father. The man listed on his birth certificate, Purcell Tyson, wasn't around, and the man he was told was his real dad, Jimmy Kirkpatrick, barely showed up, just once a year. Jimmy had a family before having anything to do with Tyson's mom. He abandoned them and met Lorna in 1959 after moving to Brooklyn. People don't really change, so it's not surprising that he left his new family around the time Tyson was born. Lorna had to figure things out all on her own. Tyson grew up with an older brother, Rodney, and a sister, Denise. He was especially close to Denise, but tragically, she passed away from a heart attack at just 24 years old. Rodney, on the other hand, was never really a part of Mike's world growing up. Ironically, while Mike made a name for himself in a sport that takes a toll on the brain, Rodney became a brain surgeon, and over the years, he's helped many of Mike's friends deal with the struggles that often come with boxing. When Tyson was 7, everything fell apart. His mom lost her job, and they were kicked out of their apartment. Their furniture was thrown into the street, and the kids had to guard their things while their mom searched for a new place. Tyson's mother worked as a matron, but the job didn't pay enough to support the family. So when people noticed she was looking for other ways to make money, it wasn't much of a surprise. Many simply assumed she was a prostitute. Tyson and the rest of the family ended up in Brownsville, one of the toughest neighborhoods in Brooklyn. It was loud, aggressive, and full of crime. Tyson and his brother were robbed right in front of their apartment not long after moving in. His mom struggled to find work, started drinking heavily, and the family relied on welfare. Even then, they were evicted multiple times, sometimes forced to live in abandoned buildings with no heat or water. Tyson was a shy, chubby kid with a lisp, which made him an easy target for bullies. The other neighborhood kids also made jokes about his high-pitched voice. He was picked on constantly, called names, and even beaten up. He hated school, only going for breakfast and lunch before leaving for the day. That's when he found pigeons. In Brooklyn, pigeon flying was a big deal, and Tyson spent hours caring for the birds. But through that, he got involved with older boys who ran burglaries, stealing, and selling goods. At just 8 years old, he was making $200 per job, way more than most kids his age. As he got older, he started running with a crew of pickpockets and robbers. By 11, he was doing burglaries alone, bringing in even more money and buying food for his family. His mom refused to take his stolen money, so he gave it to his sister to pass to her instead. But even with all that, he was still getting bullied. One day, a group of boys tried to steal his pigeons, and when their leader killed one right in front of him, something snapped. Tyson, fueled by anger, swung wildly and knocked the kid out cold. Word spread, and soon people started betting on him in street fights. He got into a lot of trouble at the time, and by the age of 13, Tyson had already been arrested 38 times. Fighting became his second source of income. He was just 11, but taking on grown men, winning most of his fights. It gave him confidence, and he started getting revenge on the kids who had bullied him. But with that confidence came more risk. he got bolder with his robberies, sometimes in broad daylight, and soon he was getting arrested regularly. By 10, he was already in the court system, but because he was a minor, he never did serious time. That changed after a robbery gone wrong. He was sent to a juvenile detention center where he saw Muhammad Ali visit and talk to the kids. Inspired, Tyson wanted to be like him, but he wasn't ready to change just yet. When he got out at 12, he went right back to his old ways. A few months before turning 13, he was arrested again and sent to another juvenile facility. That's where he met Bobby Stewart, a counselor and former boxer. Stewart saw potential in Tyson and taught him the basics of fighting before giving him lessons on boxing. Tyson picked it up fast, so fast that during one sparring session, he accidentally broke Stewart's nose. That's when Stewart knew he had to introduce Tyson to someone special. Cus D'Amato, a legendary boxing trainer. Most people don't know this, but Mike Tyson was hypnotized to fight. When he was a kid, his trainer, Cus D'Amato, didn't just teach him how to throw punches. He also made sure Tyson's mind was in the right place. And one of the ways he did that was through hypnotherapy. Tyson started getting hypnotized when he was around 14 years old. Cus had a hypnotherapist named John Halpin who would put Tyson under up to 3 times a day. The goal was to make him completely emotionless in the ring, just pure aggression, no hesitation, no fear. Tyson wasn't trained to fight physically. His mind was wired for war. Cus used to tell him, "Your mind is not your friend, Mike. You have to fight with it, control it, and impose your will on reality." And hypnosis was a big part of how Tyson learned to do just that. By the time he went pro in the mid-80s, this mental conditioning was paying off. Tyson ran through his first 37 opponents like a wrecking ball. When he stepped into that ring, he wasn't just a fighter. He was, in his own words, an intelligent, savage animal. Snoop Dogg actually talked to Tyson about this once, and Tyson explained how it worked. He said hypnosis trained his subconscious. In the ring, he was calm and controlled, but his only goal was to destroy his opponent. And once the fight was over, that switch flipped off. No lingering anger, no extra drama, just business. And that's what made Tyson so terrifying. He wasn't just fighting with his fists, he was fighting with a mind that had been trained, conditioned, and hypnotized for one thing: domination. Mike Tyson was also taught by Kevin Rooney and Teddy Atlas, but meeting Cus changed Tyson's life. He moved in with him, trained under him, and soon he was on his way to becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Cus D'Amato actually became Tyson's legal guardian at some point. After his mother's death, she left Tyson in his care. Tyson was around 16 years at the time, and he admitted that Lorna had never been proud of anything he did. She only ever saw him as a rascal and a good-for-nothing child. Lorna was always disgusted by all the clothes and nice stuff Tyson brought home because she knew that he didn't pay for most of them. 2 of them were never really close. At just 20 years old, Mike Tyson won his first belt, dominating the sport with his brutal style. From being a bullied, homeless kid committing robberies to one of the most feared fighters in the world, Tyson's life turned around completely through boxing. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you in the next one.